What I'm going to explain in this video is the thoughts that anybody would have if they're the one to change everything for their family. I know and I can feel that I'm that person because of certain thoughts, certain moments that have happened in my life. So if this is you, if you feel like, man, I feel like I'm different, I'm gonna break it all down. I'm gonna break through how you have to go about these feelings, how you have to have a perspective. And the first question we all ask, I think, and it doesn't have to be this exact wording, but it's something like this, is you end up like kind of like looking at your family, maybe your parents, other people in your life, and there's this mindset or this way of living that's like a standard, there's expectations, and you start asking yourself, is this all there is? And when you ask yourself this question, it may happen at a moment where you start to kind of open up in your perspective and not just accepting whatever your parents or your family tell you to do. Because as kids, some of us are different. Some of us never listen to our parents. But there's a certain point where you kind of evolve and you ask yourself, is this how I want to live my life? Is this the only option I have for my life? Is my only option going to school and doing it this way? Is my only option going with the family business? Is my only option playing it safe? Is my only option? You start asking yourself this question. You start asking, is this all there is? You start asking yourself, is there more I could possibly get? What does it take to get there? And then when you start kind of bringing up this question, what ends up happening is you either get pushback or it's delayed pushback. So depending on when you start having this question, it depends on when you start getting the pushback. It also depends on your family and the people around you. It depends. But you start getting this question, and the older you get, the more pushback you get with this question because they fear you're not going to go about the traditional path. And whatever that path is for you is different. All of our families and people that live in different parts of the country, we all have different types of expectations from our family. Or it's not even expectations, just things we've seen. I think it's really hard to become something you haven't seen, but that's what it takes to change the world or to move things forward. So it takes people that think like this, but that are also bold enough to go against the grain of what our family or other people around us have done previously. And so it's super important when you start asking yourself this question, you start realizing the importance of having independent thought. And so you really have to be able to have your own opinion for your life. And I understand it's good to go to your parents for advice. I understand it's good to go to whoever it is in your life that you've grown up with or whatever it may be for advice. But there hits a point where you have to ask yourself, is the person I'm going to for advice living the life I want to live? Whoo, that's something right there. I'm not even going to write that down. Y'all got to write that down. Is the person I'm asking for advice from living the life I want to live or even have something? And when you understand the parts of life that you want that person has accomplished, you'll change the questions you're asking. But it hits a point where there's nobody doing what you want to do, or at the very least, you don't know what you want to do, but you just know you want everything but what they got going on. You know what I mean? For me, this started happening, I think I was about like 21. I think I was a junior, senior in college. I had been on that path. We talk about the path that's expected, the expected path, right? Let's call this the expected path. Expected path. I went on this expected path for 20 years. This is my life. 20 years, I'm on the expected path. I went to high school. I got good grades. I got into college. I'm a junior in college. I have all these internships. I'm winning some awards. I'm having this good college experience. I'm having some internships. I have this internship that's a full-time internship my senior year. Everything's looking great for Jamar. Everybody's so proud of Jamar. He's just this model citizen. He's so much like, oh, it's amazing, right? But then I start asking myself, is this all there is? Because I was basically, my senior year, I was working a job. The way my program worked, your last semester of college, you literally just work a 9 to 5, and then you like report back how it's going, and that's like it. And so basically, I was like in the real world working, and my whole life, my parents have been training me to get to this point. They were training me to get the 9 to 5, to get the job, to have that safety. I had my own apartment. I was living in D.C., Washington, D.C., the nation's capital of the United States. My life seemed so good to other people. But every single day, I would come back from work and I was asking myself, is this all there is? Is this all there is for me? Do I just wake up every day, do my time, get paid for it, and not really be happy? I feel like my whole life, this expected path was to just be okay. And there hits a point where you're not satisfied with okay. It hits a point where okay is almost worse than failure. For me, what I started realizing was okay Oh, hold on. There's okay, there's great, and then there's this sucks, right? And what we fear is this sucks, right? We fear going after whatever we want. We fear going out into the unknown. And the pursuit of this turns into this. But what I've realized is when you sit in okay enough and never figure out if you have a chance for great, okay turns into this sucks. Because in your head, you're always thinking, what could have been? What is for my life? Is this all there is? And when you ask yourself that question, you have a decision to make. Are you going to live the rest of your life asking this one question? I have another question for y'all. We already have the first question that you start asking when you know you're one of the ones for your family. But there's another question that you will start to ask yourself. And this is a big one. And this is one that's changed my life. I'm so thankful I have the right perspective with it. But you start asking yourself, what if? What if I was to go for it? For me, I had aspirations. I had a podcast at the time that I started sophomore year, but it was always like a hobby. It wasn't like, I think my parents never thought I was like really trying to like, just something I did. And so I had that. I had this idea of being like an inspirational speaker. I could kind of feel it, like it's something I like doing, but how would I even do that? I wasn't a celebrity. Can you even get paid for doing that? I didn't know. But I started learning that certain people were like making a career out of public speaking, inspirational speaking, and they weren't a celebrity. And I would see them on social media, and I'm like, I think I'm a better speaker than them right now at 21 years old. And so the question of what if started popping up. It wasn't just, is there more? I started realizing there is more. So once you get through the stage of, is there more? And you realize, oh, there is more out there in life. You cannot like just, maybe it's for you, it's meeting somebody that's living a different type of life, or somebody's making a different type of money. Maybe it's somebody doing a job they actually enjoy. Maybe it's whatever it may be. We start to ask ourselves, what if I could do that? Because now you see it's possible. Now it's what if? And when you start asking yourself, what if? Because at first, when you're asking, is there more? You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know, right? And so it's like your parents or your family really aren't tripping because you're still going about this expected path, right? But then when you start asking yourself, what if, you start seeing the possibilities. You can almost see it in your mind. You can almost feel like you're already there. For me, as a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, perspective one, wanting to be, I was really sitting there, and I had figured out I really wanted to speak in the high school market and really be able to speak to like high school students that didn't know what they wanted to be when they grew up, because that was like my big thing when I was in high school, middle school. And I realized, man, I could travel the country speaking at high schools, and I realized you can make thousands of dollars. And so in my head, I started really like, I don't want to say manifesting, but I started, for some reason, I feel like I'm not recording real quick. Okay, I'm recording. That would have sucked if I wasn't recording. But I started basically like not manifesting, but I would visualize it. Like I could almost see it, feel like I was already there. I could feel like I was being introduced, and I would try to explain this to my parents, to my family, and they just couldn't understand it. I was living in my apartment in DC. I had this great job. The job was trying to offer me more money to continue full-time after I graduated college. But in my head, all I could think was, what if I went for it right now, what would happen? And essentially what happened to me was right after I graduated college, I had to make a decision if I was going to stay at this job or not, right? And basically right before I graduated, I had to really make a decision before I graduated. And essentially, I had discussions with my parents, I had discussions with everybody, and they were just trying to motivate me to stay here. Trying to motivate me to stay here. But this had already turned into this for me. I had already worked a real job for like a freaking semester, and I already know I'm not happy. Why would I continue doing this? But they're trying to tell me this is being an adult. That's what they were trying to tell me. I didn't put in. And so they're trying to tell me, look, this is what you got to do, bro. This is what it is. Grow up, bro. But I was like, but what if I could get that? What if I could get great? What if I could get amazing? What if I could get my dream life? What if there's things beyond my imagination that are available? And at the very least, I knew this sucks. And so with it sucking, there's also a thought of this insanely sucks, right? Because you're thinking, okay, I know this sucks, but like, what if I go and I try for this and I end up down here? Okay? And that was my thought process. I was really scared. I wanted to like make the jump and go for my dreams, but I didn't know how. I didn't know if I could do it. I felt it in my intuition. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so what I ended up doing was I accepted this. I accepted okay, which really was this. And I know I'm just circling this stuff like 100 times. But essentially what I did was I got an extension with the internship I had to be there for like another month. Really, I had an apartment. The lease was another month. So that was also an excuse. And, try it out a little bit longer, see if I can maybe make this 9-to-5 thing work. My parents were kind of happy. My family were happy. They think, okay, he's going to give it another month, and then he's finally going to do this. But here's what happens, and I think it's super important we realize this when we're talking to parents, family, people that really care about us. We have to understand their point of view in these moments. Because I ended up going back to okay, and essentially right when I made that decision, oh my goodness, like, I remember that same day I made that decision, like I felt my gut like turning. Like I didn't even eat nothing crazy that day. I felt my gut turning. It was my intuition basically saying, you just accepted the life you weren't meant to live. It sucked. And so because I chose okay, my parents could sleep at night, right? A lot of parents push us to be okay. Parents, family can't sleep if you aren't okay. We have to understand that because they care so much, right? They can't sleep if you aren't okay. But what they don't realize is that by you accepting okay, you can't sleep. You can't sleep. And they're so fixated on you being okay because they love you so much. It's like in their nature. They forget that we actually want to be happy. And so we have to realize their judgment is completely flawed because they can't even assess or think about your happiness because they're so stuck on not being able to be at peace if you're not okay. But they don't realize when you're just okay living a life you don't like, it actually sucks. But what I've realized is, okay, this sucks, all this is always there. You can go for it. It never actually gets here. Because you're a human being, you have survival instincts. You will always get yourself back to okay. Okay? And that's what I didn't realize, and what I want to give to y'all right now is somebody like you that is going to change your family's future. You have to understand this moment you're in, or this moment you will eventually be in when you get to this point, and what you need to know, because I wish I knew this earlier, but I'm glad I didn't know it earlier so I can give you this information with the perspective I have. But once you understand this is the number one thing you got to understand. Look, they can't process you being happy, okay? They're too concerned with you being okay. And if you're not okay, they're tweaking out, okay? But basically, after this month ended, I went through another month of working for this company, and I realized, man, not only is this okay stuff, this sucks, it actually turned into like, this insanely sucks. This insanely sucks. That level only happens when you like really just accept the life you don't want to live. Okay? That's what happened to me. But here's what changed in my life. Okay? I'll never forget this day. Essentially, my sister had come to visit me in DC, and I was taking her back to the train station after she visited me. And I'll never forget this thing that popped up on my phone. It was this Nipsey Hussle quote. And essentially, in this quote, they were asking Nipsey Hussle in an interview, like, what was the biggest mistake you ever made for your life? He didn't give a direct answer, but he gave this advice. He basically said, you don't always need all the facts. You don't need all the facts. You can just go off your gut. And that changed my life. You don't need all the facts. And basically what he was saying was that he learned to just trust his intuition, his gut, and trust that it's connected to something higher. I think we all have like a higher version of ourselves. Why else are these things put in our hearts? Why are these dreams put in us? Because there's a reason for it, but you can't need to know it, because would it even be fun if you just knew your dreams would become a reality? You need some, what kind of story would that be? And so you don't need all the facts. You have intuition. You have this thing in your gut. You can feel that you're different. You think that's there for no reason? And when I saw this video, it brought tears to my eyes, and it let me know I gotta go for it. I have to go for it. The rest of my life, I will ask myself, what if I don't go for it right now? And I will sit there and I'll be one of those people that's super annoying saying, man, if I would have went for it, this, and this would have happened. You know what? I said, I'm going for it. And to be honest with you, when I said that, I didn't really mean it. I said it, but I didn't know if I had the courage to do it. Like, I knew I needed to do it, but I didn't know if I would actually do it, okay? And so I was super afraid, and it got to a week out, and basically I had a contract offer from the job. I had 2 contract offers from another organization and that organization, and basically they were like offering money for me to, work full time, to be a regular person. And I remember I would get on the subway every single day. And it'd be time for work. It'd be like 8 8 in the morning, and I get on the subway in DC, and I would see all these people around me, and you could just tell they were settling. You could tell none of them had any type of thought that their life could get any better. They just had to keep repeating the same day over and over again. And I was just like, man, I can't accept this. But what I realized is I can always go back to this. And so I had all of these offers from these organizations. 2 of them, one was like really high. That I didn't think I would get that type of, I was kind of hoping that the jobs would like lowball me. And I had like 2 days to make it a decision, okay? And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was really going back and forth. And at this point, my parents, my family started to realize, oh shoot, Jamar's actually thinking about like quitting this job and he's not gonna be okay. And I was serious about it. And I'll never forget what happened. I think it was the day before. I was talking to my dad and he said this thing to me. It broke my heart. And I was trying to explain to him, like I told y'all, like being a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, how I could envision and basically see and feel me speaking on different stages and being paid for it. I could just see it. And I remember I literally was explaining this thought process, what I was feeling to my dad. And he said something that broke my heart forever. He said, Jamar, do you think you are special or something? And when I mean this broke my heart, bro, this broke my heart. This from my own dad. He asked me, Jamar, do you think you're special or something? In my head, I was like, what? Of course. But why would you even ask me this question? My dad had asked me, do you think you're special or something? And you know, I have one of the most supportive dads. I love my dad. He's always pushed me. He's one of those dads that say, there's nothing you can't do. They say all these things to you growing up. But when, SHIT got to the fan, this is what he said to me. And I was like, man, I bursted into tears. I didn't know what to do. I responded, Dad, of course I think I'm special. You're special too. And it was just like God. It was like this ultimate moment of your family having so much fear that it clouds their love and empowerment for you. And it was at this moment I was at my breaking point. It was at this moment I realized I can't expect anybody else to understand my vision but me. You cannot expect anybody to understand your vision. Here's what you have to realize. You're the only one that has to understand. You're the only one that is going to understand. And if you wait on other people to understand your vision, you will never make your vision a reality. Woo! That says something. Here we go. Let's write that down. If you wait, know what? I'm not going to waste time. Y'all heard me. If you wait on other people to see your vision, you'll never be able to create your vision. So basically, if you're waiting on somebody to be like, yo, bro, you can do that. Yo, that's real or whatever. With big, ambitious dreams, you'll never actually start because you're waiting on something that won't happen. Your dreams, your aspirations were put in your mind for a reason. There's a reason why you're different. Being just like everybody else, staying with that expected way of living is the way to not be, not be average. Like, if you want to be average, you have to face the ridicule of being someone different. Part of being higher echelon, part of being the one is being the black sheep, is standing out. And when you stand out, you get talked about. But here's what happens in the beginning. There's a phase that happens. In the beginning, black sheep. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? Why is he doing that? This is me in DC thinking about quitting, okay? You're the black sheep. Then it's the lonely phase, because then you actually go about doing it. You're not just talking about it. This is the lonely phase. Nobody's in your corner now. They might be in your corner. I still have family in my corner. To give y'all the story, eventually I ended up deciding I was going to go for my dreams. I ended up moving back home. Even though my dad was tripping by saying that, he allowed me to move back home. Me and my mom moved back in with them and go for my dreams. I didn't know what I was doing. I'll get back to that story in a second. But essentially, even after this, you go into the lonely phase. Even though my parents were there, it was still nobody in my corner. It was like they're expecting me to just go through this phase and get back to the regular expected timeline, right? So it's like, Jamar's gonna go through a phase, lonely phase. You got to grind it out. You don't even know what you're doing. For me, I was getting back there and I was trying to figure out how do I even get started with this? I don't even know. I was going off pure intuition. So I went through months, a year of just trying to figure it out. But, and I'll have another video on how to get through this phase, but essentially you're going to figure it out. It's just, you got to be able to push through. But you go through this lonely phase. This video isn't meant to show y'all how to reach success. I have plenty of videos to do that. I'm just telling you about the process of being the one. In this lonely phase, you'll figure it out. I have more videos about that. look through my stuff. But essentially, you're going to do a bunch of research. You're going to get your boots on the ground. You're going to figure it out. But once you get past this phase, they're all proud of you. They're all proud. Oh my goodness, my son. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be the black sheep. All of a sudden, all of them no longer are on the expected path. Now they up now. They up now because you went through these stages. But these stages are lonely. Oh my goodness. And if you can find some real ones that understand you right here, that believe in you right there, lock in with them. Don't let them go, because these are the people that really multiply your success, because they allow you to keep going. For me, I had people in my life that did see me. I had a couple people in college I met that saw me, that believed in me. Even though I was lonely, it was little moments they would say little things or reaffirm it, because there's a lot of moments right here where you're going to want to quit. Like life is going to give you every moment, every opportunity to tell you to quit. But the difference between a successful person and a person that makes it to this phase is you just decide quitting. Failure isn't even possible. Let me tell you something. Failure isn't anything to do with the results. It's everything to do with your decision. And so in this phase, you got to decide that nothing is going to allow you to fail except for death. So the only way I don't make it to my dreams and aspirations is if I die or if I find out I want something else. It's the only way, okay? You have to have that mindset. But here's what I also have to allow you to know. Because while this is the end in terms of the relationship with those people that were tripping, I need you to know this isn't the goal, okay? For you, I need you to know this isn't the goal, because if this is the goal, then you're not going to be able to get through this phase. You're not, okay? And I think this is a super important distinction, because I need you to know why you were giving these ideas, why you were thinking, is there more? It wasn't to make them proud, because sometimes they still not going to be proud. They still going to be tripping sometimes. But that's not the goal regardless, because if that's the goal, you're not going to make it through here. So let me tell you what the real goal is, okay? Let me show you what the real goal, or at least the perspective, all right, you have to have in this time. Ooh, I love this whiteboard, man. I feel like I can elaborate more. But here we go. What you have to realize is that your family isn't your target market. They're not. They're just not your target market. And a lot of us, we start things, or we want to start things, and we try to get opinions from our family. But they're not our target market. They're not the ones we're meant. You know what I mean? There are billions of people in this world, right? And your dreams, aspirations, all of it has impact and potential buyers, potential followers, potential fans all over the globe. But you're basing your potential off of some people that you're not even meant for business-wise. Now, are you meant to be their brother, sister? It's like, yeah, obviously. I mean, you can't change that. But your target market has nothing to do with blood relation. It has everything to do with you just putting your stuff out there. And for me, I was so badly trying to make my family proud, I wasn't thinking about, dang, bro, there's a whole lot of people that need me, want me, but they'll never get me if I try to make some people proud that aren't even being real. You know what I'm saying? When family is just trying to make you be okay, they're not trying to allow you to reach your full potential. They don't want you to impact the people they want you to impact. They're having this selfish feeling in their heart that they just want you to be okay because they can't sleep with you not being okay. And so you have to realize it's flawed, and if you listen to them, you're not going to be able to reach the people you're meant for. Right now, I'm somebody that spoke at over 200 schools all across the country. I've only been speaking professionally for like 2-3 years. I've traveled to over 35 states to speak. I get paid thousands of dollars to do what I do. If I really want to, I only got to work, like 2 to 3 days every single month. Maybe even less than that. I still work every single day because I love to grind, love what I do. But all I'm saying is I found this target market of people that love me, that appreciate me, that are in tears when I tell my story, that have changed their life because of me, and they would have never met me if I would have listened to them. No, I still love them. I still come to advice for certain things for them. But when it comes to me reaching them, it starts with this. Passion. And that's what I'm all about. You gotta love it. If you don't love it, you're not gonna get past them. If you don't love it, you're not going to get past that phase of black sheep. You're not going to get past black sheep, and you're not going to get past loneliness. You're not going to get past it. This is the key to all of it. Now, hopefully, you already got that before, but if you're that black sheep and you don't have it yet, then I really think you need to go about learning about different things and not just what your family or what your community has shown you. There's a whole globe out there. There's a billion different things you can make a career out of or make a life out of. You need to find what you love to do. What do I define a passion as? I don't just define it as something you just like to do. I think it's something you love to do regardless. Regardless if you make money, regardless if your family loves you for it, regardless if you, whatever, you love it regardless. Just the process of you doing it is enough. For example, right now, I'm making this video. I'm having a ton of fun making this video for you guys, but I'm making it for me first. Just the process. If this video never gets posted, I don't even know how, like this is how you know it's my passion. I don't even know how long this video has been going. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, I don't know. But regardless of this video ever getting posted, if YouTube never pushes this video on the algorithm, I had fun making this video. So I won. And that's what pushes me to long-term success, to my target market, to a fulfilling career, to being able to make money, because I'm willing to do this in the long game. Remember I talked about this and this? I need you to know this phase can be 5, 10, 20 years. But guess what? It really ain't that bad if you're loving it. It really isn't. So you have to be able to have something that you love doing so you can get past this. And then the whole process is fun. It's just some people that don't understand you, that aren't meant to understand you're tripping, but that's not your problem. I need you to understand your family's expectations are not your responsibility. That's their problem. They're expecting you to live a life based off what they think about your life, but your life is your life. You see where I'm coming from? This is your life. Let me see if I have any other notes that I wanted to pass to you guys, but this is your life, man. I don't understand why we feel like we have to make them proud. That's their problem. That's their own flawed perception of the world. You have your own. I think you have to realize that there's this like higher purpose for your life that's beyond your understanding. And it's within all your intuition, within all your dreams, aspirations, passions, that all that purpose happens. There's somebody I don't know yet that's going to watch this video that's going to be impacted, that need to see this. If it wasn't for me quitting my job, going after my dreams, pushing through all these lonely moments, hard moments, if it wasn't for the bad things happening, I wouldn't be here right now making this video. So I need you to know that their expectations aren't aren't your responsibility, and your target market isn't your family, okay? And so if you want more inspiration to be able to tackle whatever it is you are going through in your life, to be able to find your passion, be able to find success within it, that's all I'm about. So just watch some more videos. It should be popping up somewhere. Like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate y'all watching this video. Y'all have a good day.